So let's get started. Marco and Matthew, we hope to have you here in our video stream together with the other two. Good morning to all of you. We will start with the two on the top, and maybe you can tell us something about the European Youth Foundation. Marco and Matthew, you go ahead.
Thank you very much. With great pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. Indeed, the European Youth Foundation is a Council of Europe instrument to grant money to youth organizations. My name is Marco Leidekker. I am the head of the European Youth Foundation since a few months. I've been attending this convention for 3 days. I have learned much, and I've also heard, to my great pleasure, the name of the European Youth Foundation coming up a few times. Now, as you say, it's a perfect opportunity for us to explain who we are and what we do. So my colleague, Matthew Foster, has put together a short presentation of who we are. It will take 15 minutes. These are 15 minutes well spent. I can promise you that. So please, Matt, go ahead.
So my name's Matt. I'm from the European Youth Foundation Secretariat. So my main responsibilities at the Youth Foundation are all around the assessment and then the writing of recommendations for the grant funding applications that come in. So today really we saw this as an opportunity to share some information about the Youth Foundation. We're very aware that we already work with a lot of youth NGOs all across Europe, but we also know that there's lots of youth NGOs that we don't work with yet. And so we wanted to make sure that we use this platform to get information about our foundation out there. So over the next 15 minutes or so, I'll give you a very brief introduction into the European Youth Foundation. All of the information that I'll cover will also be available on our website for you to refer back to, and we're very friendly and willing to answer questions as well. So you can head to our website afterwards for any further info. But the real key message that I'd like to get out from this session for you is that you can only access funding from the European Youth Foundation if you are registered with us. So my call to action for all of you who are not yet registered with you is to head to our website after this presentation, find out about how to register and make sure that your organisation is registered so that you can begin to access funding from the Youth Foundation. So the Youth Foundation has been around a little while. So we were set up in 1972 and are currently based in the European Youth Centre in Strasbourg. So for those of you that have ever attended events or activities at the Youth Centre in Strasbourg, you've probably seen us about on our coffee breaks and on our lunch. And if you do indeed come and attend anything at the youth centre in a post-COVID world, then we'd love for you to come and say hello to us as well. We're a very friendly bunch. There's about 8 of us, depending on what time of year you come, that are working in the foundation secretariat. So as I mentioned earlier, we already have a lot of you registered with the European Youth Foundation. There's about 1,000 youth organisations already represented, and in 2020, we had 134 projects that we granted in total. So you can see those figures on the screen at the moment. The Secretariat works through about 280 grant applications. We granted 134, and we delivered nearly €2.5 million of funding. So you can see that we have quite a significant amount of funding available to distribute to support youth projects over Europe. So it's a useful place to start, I guess, in terms of who is eligible for funding from the European Youth Foundation. So we are a Council of Europe instrument, which means that anybody from the European Cultural Convention signatory states is able to apply. So that's the 47 members member states of the Council of Europe, plus the additional 3 in Kazakhstan, Belarus, and the Holy See. So our funding is quite far-reaching in that sense, and that will mean that many of you are eligible if your organisation is based in any of those countries. The most important thing, I guess, is that we fund youth organisations. So non-profit, non-governmental youth organisations, and by that we mean they must be youth to the core. So we're really looking for those youth-led structures within the organisation. We want organisations that are run by young people for young people. And so we're often asked if non-youth organisations can register with the EYF in order to run youth-related projects. And in fact, what we're looking for with the European Youth Foundation is actually just youth organisations. So that's a very key message to take away. It's important that that you are your own organisation. So we don't fund individuals as such, but we want NGOs. We want to see your statutes. We want to see your evidence that you've got your bank account, etc. when you register with us. So that's another important consideration. And then the other key message is around that the projects we run and the people we fund are around the values of the Council of Europe. So it's got to fit in with the framework of human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. So the youth organisations that we fund tend to fit into 3 categories, or 3 main categories, and then a couple of others that I'll explain briefly. So firstly, we have local NGOs. So we do provide support to NGOs working in one member state at a local level, working on local issues. We can fund projects in that space. We also are available to fund organisations working at a national level within the member states. So those projects could be delivered across the country, and then international NGOs as well. So by an international NGO, we mean an organisation that has membership in 7 countries at least. And so that's just it's an important consideration again to take when you come to register with the European Youth Foundation. I'll also mention that we do have networks as well. So we welcome applications from networks of youth NGOs. So we would class an international network of youth NGO as a network of 7 or more NGOs from across Europe. And we also are open to regional networks of youth NGOs, which would be between 4 and 6 NGOs as well, working across a region. So naturally, it may seem from considering that we just support youth organisations, naturally we of course are just looking to support youth projects. So I'll very briefly break down for you what we mean by that. So firstly, we're looking for projects that are run by, with and for young people. That we want to see young people on the project teams. We want to see young people in the decision making seat. We think it's really important that our projects are entirely youth led, and that doesn't mean that you can't have older people involved in the running of the projects and using them as experts, having them on your team to support some of the competencies. But the important thing is that the youth projects are indeed youth led as a whole. We also want to see evidence from our youth projects that they have good non-formal education practice, and that will come up in the application process as a very, very key part. So we really recommend that when you come to submitting projects and for the European Youth Foundation, you consider how you can evidence the strong non-formal education element. And if you want more information about what that means to the European Youth Foundation, I'd again point you to our website. We also want your projects to fit in with the youth sector priorities of the Council of Europe. I'll briefly give them to you, what they are at the moment, which is access to rights, youth participation and youth work, and inclusive and peaceful societies. Again, those do change every couple of years. And the important thing is to go onto our website and have a look at those and make sure that the projects that you might want to seek funding for from the Youth Foundation fit in there somewhere. And we also look for our projects to have a gender perspective. And what we mean by that is some evidence that you've considered gender perspective in the design of your project. You're thinking about whether your project is inclusive and safe for all people to join in. And also that make sure that you've considered the actual needs of the target group that you're looking to work with in your project. Again, with gender perspective, as with all of the things on this slide, we recommend going to our website to read a little bit more about all of these things. So, next up is the important bit, I guess, for those of you that are looking to access funding from the European Youth Foundation. So we have 4 different project types, and therefore 4 different pots of funding, I guess, that are available to youth NGOs. However, I'm going to talk about 2 of them specifically, as those are the ones that we feel are most relevant, or when most people start off. But so to briefly cover the other 2, we have our 2-year structural grants, which we offer to NGOs to support them with core costs of running their organisation. Those grants are only available to people who already have a history with the European Youth Foundation, and you can read more about the criteria for those structural grants on our website. We also have our annual work plans, which are a series of activities delivered over a year. So they can be made up of the other two grant types that I'm going to talk about in a minute, as well as other activities. But again, I would recommend with the annual work plans, if you're interested in finding out more about those, to head to our website and have a read about the criteria for those. But I'll start by going into pilot activities. So pilot activities are a grant that we provide of up to €10,000. And these are activities that we are looking to run at a local level. So we're looking at activities that are non-formal education projects run by young people, of course, targeting a specific need in a local community. And so that's the really nice thing about the pilot activity program, is that it's a chance to really work at a grassroots level within communities. And we really like to see all sorts of sort of fresh and innovative projects that get new people involved in youth work. So those projects, like I said, up to €10,000, and importantly, they can cover all of the eligible costs for the project. So we can provide 100% funding for pilot activity projects up to that €10,000. And yes, any NGO can apply for these, although if you're an international NGO, we'd like to see evidence of working with NGOs at a local level. But for those of you that are local and national NGOs, you're absolutely open to pilot activities. Next, I'll talk briefly about the international activities. So international activities are a bit more in terms of funding. So here we can have a maximum of €20,000. And those are activities taking place at an international level, and they must be involving 7 or more participants from 7 or more member states of the Council of Europe. The other key point on international activities is, unlike pilot activities, we only provide funding for up to 2/3 of the costs. So they must be a co-funded program. You must be seeking funding from somewhere else in order to access funding for a one-off international activity. The other thing to say about international activities is that they're only accessible to international NGOs, international networks, etc., and national NGOs if they're working in partnership with others. Okay, so local NGOs unfortunately aren't able to apply for international activities. So that very briefly goes through our grant programs for you. Again, I recommend to come to our website to find out a little bit more information about all of those, and you're very, very welcome to get in touch with us. So I wanted to share briefly a little bit about the feeling, I guess, of the European Youth Foundation. Something that we're quite proud of is that are very much there to work with and support the NGOs we work with. We don't see ourselves just as a donor. We want to build a relationship with you as an NGO. So from when you register through to when you start accessing funding from us, we want to have that communication with you. We want to understand your organisation. We want to fund quality projects, and we want to have a relationship that lasts for many years. So we do try to offer support through our application process. And also the real focus, I guess, of when we're doing our assessments is on that content and methodology. So we engage with you, we talk to you, we want to understand your projects to understand if there's something that we can fund. Finally, I'll talk briefly about what the application process looks like. So the number one thing that you must do is make sure that your organisation is registered with the European Youth Foundation. Like I said before, you cannot access funding from the European Youth Foundation unless you are registered with us. So if you're not, then take that as your action to go away from today. However, once you are registered with us, there are then multiple times throughout the year that you can apply for funding from us. So the application form is always open, but we have key cut-off dates where throughout the year where we then assess the applications and put them forward to our programming committee on youth, who will make decisions. So the way it works is that you fill out an application form through our online system. We then enter in communication with you as a secretariat. So like I said earlier, we want to build that supportive relationship with our NGOs, and so we enter communication with you. We seek to find out more about your application. We seek to offer you feedback on how to improve it, so that we can make sure we are able to fund the quality youth projects that we know are out there. Then we will create a recommendation as a secretariat on whether or not the funding should be accessed, and we pass that on to the programming committee on youth, who will make a decision on the application, and then you'll be informed whether or not you've received the funding for your project. Okay, so that was a very, very brief overview of the European Youth Foundation. Like I said, I really recommend you to go to our website and find out a little bit more about us. And importantly, if your NGO is not registered with us, then go to our website and begin the registration process so that you can begin to access funding in the future. Thank you very much, and I'll pass back to Marco.
Matt, thank you very much. I think it's important to stress, as Matt has done a few times already, that we think a prime characteristic of the European Youth Foundation is the direct communication with youth organizations. As of the moment we receive an application, we are in contact with the applicant, and we ask for information, we ask for clarification, and we ask for improvements if necessary. The objective is to make an application fundable. As to Matt's presentation, just a few additions, if I may. In 2020, the European Youth Foundation received significantly more applications than in 2019. In particular, the growth in pilot activities was the local grants, as Matt explained so well, was very important. And this, we believe, may very well be attributed to the COVID-19 special call for pilot activities we launched in early April 2020, which led to a surge in registrations and also a steep increase in applications to the foundation. Now, if I have 5 more seconds, then I would like to say a few things about the COVID-19 response of the European Youth Foundation. Already in March, we started to contact youth organizations with a running grant to hear from them whether they believe they could still implement the grant. In a considerable number of cases, we understood that this would not be the case. Therefore, the EYF team has spent a good part of this year in assisting youth organizations in redesigning their European Youth Foundation funded projects and activities to make them COVID-19 compatible. We are very pleased that so far only 2 youth organizations were forced to return their grants due to the pandemic. Of course, this may change in the days, weeks, and months to come. But for now, I believe this is a pretty good result. I thank you for your attention, and I pass the floor back to the moderators. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco and Matthew, for those insights that are very interesting for many, many people, I'm sure. Thank you for giving us those information. Thanks.
Next, Silvia and Violetta will tell us about Erasmus Plus Youth and the Solidarity Corps. Welcome, you both. Hi, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, great. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to be part of this third European Youth Work Convention, to join the youth work community in such exciting and challenging phase of shaping the European youth work agenda. Our programs, I don't see the presentation. My colleague shared the PowerPoint, but I don't see it on screen.
Yes, the PowerPoint is being shared now. I wonder. Yes,
okay,
I wonder.
It doesn't matter. Okay, now I see it. Yes, thank you. Yes, so our EU youth programs have a long-lasting history of offering life-changing opportunities to young people in Europe, supporting them in developing their skills and competencies, in becoming more active and engaged citizens, and all this while contributing to the society. Our programs have been doing all that through learning mobility activities, through volunteering, through a wide range of formats and actions, which have been evolving and which have been shaped along the way according to the changing needs of the society. And thanks to the exchange with the youth work community, with the stakeholders, with our national agencies and our ALTO. So before looking into how the new programs plan to continue their work in this direction, I would like to have a look with you at the policy context in the field of youth, which is, of course, the backbone to our programs. I'm sure that everybody in this convention plenary room and everybody who is listening to us out there by now is familiar with the EU Youth Strategy, which was approved in at the end of 2018 and covers the period 2019 till 2027, and is actually the framework for European cooperation in the field of youth. And it will cover, therefore, the whole duration of the new generation of programs. We say one youth strategy, youth strategies and two programs, because with the new generation of programs, we really look for closer links between programs and policy. We strive for further convergence between the two and mutual reinforcement. So the EU Youth Strategy will promote and promotes the use of EU programs and funds, and also aims at making use of all those lessons learned coming from the projects implemented and funded. And at the same time, Erasmus Plus Youth and the European Solidarity Corps are instrumental to the strategy. All those governance instruments that the strategy has already put in place, namely the future national activity planners or the EU Youth Strategy stakeholder platform, are also supporting this alignment between program and policy. The strategy has three key priorities, as you know, three pillars: engage, connect, and empower. And this is exactly what youth workers do. So with engage, engage is about fostering young people participation in active and civic democratic life. To strive for this objective, the new Erasmus Plus Youth has designed a new action, youth participation activities, about which we will say a bit more later in the presentation. Under Connect, this priority is about, of course, connecting young people across the Union and beyond, through volunteering experience, through learning mobility, through intercultural understanding. Young people are more and more connected in Europe, and even this year, despite of everything, they found alternative and innovative ways to keep feeding exchange and connection. So we must support them in that and give them all the tools they need. So the programs have several formats of activities to work in that sense. And then empower. Of course, empowerment of young people means encouraging them to take care of their own life and support them in this. And how we do that, of course, through youth work. So youth workers are catalysts for empowerment. So under this priority, it's all about supporting and working for quality, innovation, and recognition of youth work, which is exactly what you have been discussing here in these days. And it's exactly under this pillar that the European Youth Work Agenda finds its place. Next, please. We wanted also to have a look at you at the European education area, a communication where the Commission sets means and milestones to achieve this European education area based on freedom for teachers and learners to be mobile, and for education institutions to partner and cooperate across Europe by 2025. Maybe what is less known is that the European education area covers also non-formal learning, non-formal aspects. The Commission promotes cross-sectoral cooperation and integration of non-formal learning as full part of young people education pathways. And our program keeps striving for recognition of the competencies learned through non-formal learning, and does so also thanks to the recognition and transparency tools we have put in place, such as Europass and, of course, YouthPass. In the context of the European education area, the Commission plans to review the Council recommendation on mobility of young volunteers across the EU, which dates back in 2008, and which, of course, addresses as well to youth workers, because without them, a proper framing and accompanying of young volunteers wouldn't be possible. There is also a study on the obstacles to youth volunteering and cross-border solidarity activities in the pipeline and the public consultation. And all these will go to enrich the reflection and the developments, the policy developments and the policy context around the European Solidarity Corps, which is a younger program. Next, please. Now, if we look at the European Youth Work Agenda, Our programs are explicitly mentioned at point 33, where Commission and Member States are invited to explore, to look into the instruments the programs offer, and to see how they can contribute to the objectives of the agenda. With the increased budget Erasmus will have, we will continue to support youth work through different formats and activities, through youth worker mobility, capacity building, strategic partnerships, just to name some. But also Erasmus Plus will be able to support youth work practitioners in peer learning and sharing good practices and experiences. In the same way, the European Solidarity Corps will also be able to keep supporting the youth sector with activities around promoting civic engagement and volunteering. And here youth workers have a very important role because they are those accompanying, they are those close to young people from the very first day throughout the whole solidarity experience, training them, accompanying them, mentoring them. If we go more in depth into the text of the Council resolution, and we move to the next slide, please. We took the text of the Council resolution and we put it in a sort of digital shaker, just to remain in line with the digital team. And we came up with this colorful visual with some of the main keywords appearing in the part of the text where there is a direct invitation to the Commission to act. So I can see there, for instance, some of the actors which are involved in the process and which need to be involved. I see big in the middle youth, I see work on the right, I see organizations, so youth work organizations, which are part of this delegation attending this convention, which have been contributing to the debate and which are also benefiting from the results and the lessons learned in the framework of our projects, because youth workers taking part in mobilities then bring back new expertise and new competence to their daily work within the youth work organization. And then I read experts, researchers down there, and these actors also have a very important role in supporting the Commission, because the Commission has the task to increase and develop knowledge, to develop evidence-based approaches, to further animate and enrich the debate in youth work, and so we need their support. If we look at the tools, there on the top left corner, there is strategy, which is of course referring to the EU Youth Strategy, because we have to make sure that the implementation of the agenda is embedded into the strategy, but also that the tools the strategy has in place support and ensure the visibility of the process of the agenda. But also we have other strategies which have been prepared, and some of them are still under preparation under the new programs, like the European training strategies, youth participation strategy, youth pass, inclusion and diversity, and all this package gives a framework, and it's helpful also for youth workers in order to have tools and to frame their daily work. And then again, In green, I see cooperation, I see partnership, peer learning. So all these are instruments. When I read partnership, of course, we think of the partnership with the Council of Europe, with also our colleagues in the room, because in the framework of the agenda, the Commission will reinforce the partnership, which is already well functioning and well established with the Council of Europe in the field of youth. And again, there is development, digital and platform, and this is about the invitation to the Commission to develop an online, open, multilingual, dedicated digital platform on youth work in order to offer a space for youth workers to exchange and to learn from each other and to be ready to support young people to be fit and prepare for the digital arena. And this is also in line with the Digital Education Action Plan, which has been recently in September presented by the Commission. Finally, I would like to mention a couple of initiatives that the Commission has already started and which are in line with the Council resolution. These activities are financed, are supported by our programs and will continue to be supported under the new generation of programs. First of all, the new recently revamped European Youth Portal, which represents a good starting point and could become a relevant space to host this online digital platform on youth work mentioned in the Council resolution. On top of having a nice user-friendly design and new content organized under the three priorities of the youth strategy, it foresees some community engagement functionalities and direct interactive functionalities, which could serve well the scope of offering such space for exchange to the youth workers community. The Commission has also already been busy in developing knowledge building via a new chapter dedicated to youth work with comparative maps on youth work hosted on the Youth Wiki, the website which informs about national youth policies in the EU. And there is in the pipeline a study on the needs of youth workers as well. The Commission is planning with the Council of Europe, I've already mentioned, to reinforce the youth partnership between these two institutions, in particular developing the activities on youth work, both in terms of dialogue with youth workers, but also in terms of youth research. And finally, an expert group will be set up to support the implementation of the agenda and also to advise in the creation of this online space for youth workers. So these are just some of the examples of processes and initiatives supported by our programs. And now let's have a look at the programs themselves, at what they offer, and my colleague Violetta will walk you through the main. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Silvia. I will continue with the two programs. I hope you hear me well and you do see me in presentation. And I'm going to talk about Erasmus Plus and the European Solidarity Corps. I don't think that there's anyone in this digital room who is not familiar with the two EU funding instruments in the field of youth. The well-known Erasmus Plus program and its smaller brother or sister, the European Solidarity Corps. Erasmus Plus has a strong youth and inclusiveness component. And for example, in the field of youth, we're proud of being able to successfully reach young people with fewer opportunities, and around 1/3 of youth mobility participants are from such backgrounds. The European Solidarity Corps, a rather new program launched in 2018 as a program with its legal base, is not something completely new because it's strongly rooted in the principles and activities in the former European European Voluntary Service, which you might be very much familiar with. Inclusiveness, tackling societal challenges, and engagement of both youth, young people, and organizations are key in the European Solidarity Corps. And you may also know that now we are at the very end of the current programming period. Therefore, my following slides will address the new program as per the Commission proposal. And just an important note that these weeks are crucial as the co-legislators are about to reach an agreement on the new programs. So stay tuned and look for more information about the result of negotiation that should be available very soon. As we say, in the new generation of programs, we don't aim for revolution, but evolution. There are certain novelties that you will hear about, but the general objective of Erasmus Plus remains more or less the same, and the youth field is prominently featured there too. So the youth field will continue to offer non-formal and informal learning, mobility experiences, and active participation among young people and youth workers, as well as cooperation and innovation opportunities for organizations and policies. And certainly good news are that with the agreed increase of the budget, there will be more opportunities available. The general objective of the European Solidarity Corps is to engage both youth, young people, and organizations in solidarity activities, addressing societal challenges, and as a planned novelty for the Corps, also humanitarian challenges. It's important to note that young people should and are making meaningful contribution to society through the Corps, mainly through volunteering, but that's not it. As well as for Erasmus Plus, we're going to have the increased budget for Solidarity Corps. But what is important to note that through the Corps, the young people also develop their skills and get very valuable experiences in the process. And now I would like to walk you through the novelties and some key features of both programs. Inclusion and diversity has always been a key component of the programs, but next generation of programs strive for more. We should reach more diverse potential participants and participating organizations. An inclusion and diversity strategy sets up a framework for those projects which intend to work on inclusion-related issues. Greening of the programs is in line with priorities of the European Union. The new programs will not only offer the financial incentives for those choosing to use sustainable travel means for their mobilities, but also will raise awareness among participants and participating organizations on the importance of sustainable actions in their everyday lives and work. It will also promote the projects that address nature protection, environmental sustainability, and climate change. Another novelty is digital. The program will support the taking up of digital transformation, such as combined use for example, in Erasmus Plus for physical mobility and virtual learning, and cooperation and development of digital skills and competences. And in the Solidarity Corps, for example, a wide range of online training courses have been added. By changing the way how organizations will enter into the both programs, we hope to ensure more accessibility. They should become more accessible by also simplified formats for young participants. Participation, empowerment, and engagement have been the cornerstones in the current youth programs already. but we're broadening the offer. For example, in Erasmus+, we're adding the youth participation activities, which is a new and attractive format for young people to make sure that their voices are heard and they are engaged in society. We are working to further simplify the program design, the IT tools, and the administrative procedures and requirements. And finally, the programs will become broader, not only in terms of adding new actions, such as Discovery EU or youth participation activities, but also in the case of Solidarity Corps in terms of geographical scope, covering geographical area beyond Europe and humanitarian aid field. So these were just some key novelties and key features of the new program that is striving to become more inclusive, more digital, and more green. And here you're going to see the structure of Erasmus Plus Youth. And the new proposal of the new structure of Erasmus Plus Youth envisages already the well-known 3 key actions, which is mobility, cooperation, and policy development. As you see, youth work is spread across the whole program, in fact. Just to point out some of the most relevant funding opportunities, it's worth to mention the mobility of youth workers that in the new program will actually go beyond learning mobilities. It will also offer complementary activities, which is an opportunity for youth work organizations to innovate and take the outcomes of this work further. Cooperation partnerships will continue to support the development of youth work, and policy dialogue and cooperation with stakeholders will create tools and space to take further the youth work agenda. Since the European Solidarity Corps is a rather new program, as per the Commission proposal, we plan to keep the same structure with some already known activities and quality measures that work well and that are appreciated. One big novelty, though, the humanitarian aid strand will join the family. It will allow young people to go on humanitarian missions beyond Europe, and organizations active in the field receive funding to implement their projects. And we have planned certain improvements and additions, such as adding green and digital dimension and changing the quality label procedure to simplify access to funding. However, in big terms, we certainly see the value in already established processes and support measures such as networking activities and trainings for participants and organizations. So now, the most frequently asked question actually is, where do we stand with the adoption of the new programs? We're glad that the political agreement on the new multi-annual financial framework and recovery package was reached and implies significantly increased funding for both Erasmus Plus and the European Solidarity Corps in comparison with current programs. But still, the co-legislators are in the negotiation process on the proposals, and we're expecting the agreement on the legal basis very soon. So stay tuned about the outcomes and final decisions on how the program will finally look like. However, we are in parallel working on operational and technical preparations for the new programs in order to be able to launch them as soon as possible after the new legal bases are adopted. And that concerns such documents as the program guide, work programs, and other documents to be able to move forward and to publish the first calls early next year. So now I would like to move from this high-level design of the programs to some grassroots and give you some practical examples on how the programs support the youth work. So in this Erasmus Plus project example, it's a youth workers mobility, where a training course was created in Croatia for youth workers to learn about new tools in order to bring innovation to their work. Another example, here is David, and David is one of the volunteers in the Hoge Reelen project in Belgium. and he learned about the different aspects of working with young people and the youth work in Belgium. Lastly, a recent highlight we thought you might be interested to hear about is related to the very recent launch of the European Solidarity Corps General online training, which is published on the European Youth Portal, which, by the way, is also recently launched and revamped, completely new design and a new structure. So there are 21 courses in 28 languages available for more than 217,000 registered participants in the European Solidarity Corps. Registered young people, so not yet participants. So those that are enthusiastic and have expressed their wish to join the European Solidarity Corps. So in addition to the online courses, it's interesting to know that the Guidebook for youth workers was created and it was published in order to allow youth workers to implement activities mainly through in the context of the European Solidarity Corps, but not only, in a non-digital setting. So you can also have these activities basicly offline. So feel free to have a look, and we're also looking for your activities that youth workers have already established to add to the book. So feel free also to contact us, and we're happy to add them to the guidebook. And as the content of the courses was co-created and will continue to be co-created involving the youth panel, that includes young people and youth workers, youth work organizations, and some policy representatives. So we have published a call for the new mandate of the youth panel that is open now. So you're also free to check it and see if you're interested to apply. So lastly, thank you for your attention. And for more information, check out and say hi to the brand new European Youth Portal, and visit the Solidarity Corps pages and some information about Erasmus+. Thanks a lot. And now I move back to the moderators.
Thank you very much for the inputs. We received a lot of information about what the programs can contribute and how they are accessible.
And as we go back to the studio, we also have one last question to all of you. You all had the possibility to already take part in the 2 inspiring days that we already had yesterday and the day before. And we would like to ask all of you, to which extent do you think the programs can contribute to achieve the European Youth Work Agenda objectives that we talked so much about during this convention? Maybe we start with you, Marko.
My pleasure. First of all, I should say that we are very grateful for the very substantial contribution to the foundation made by the German Federal Republic, as announced by the minister on Monday. We will make the money to good use, especially by contributing to the bond process. As explained very well by Matt, priorities in the Council of Europe youth sector, including European Youth Foundation, are biannually set by the youth sector's co-managed system. And youth work has been a priority for some time and will remain a priority, as it is also included in our strategy. In other words, we have funding available for activities and projects in the area of youth work. However, it is an area that requires drawing attention to and may need some reinforcement. From our side, we intend to do just that. As to the details, the team is in the process of planning, and you will be informed rather sooner than later through our website. Just go to your browser, type in European Youth Foundation, and you will find us in a second. Or you give us a call. As Matt says, we inspire to be accessible. So just give us a call, send us a message, and we'll inform you where we stand. Thank you.
And I would pass the question to Silvia.
Yes, yes, I believe that the programs can contribute to several of the objectives of the agenda. In particular, support the further development of quality youth work, I think is like the fourth or fifth objective. The program can help there with their formats and actions they have in terms of capacity building and trainings, and also they can help with all the support structure which exists and which tackle issues such as quality, innovation and recognition of youth work. And I'm referring here to our NAs, to our SALTOs, to European Training Strategy, to Youth Pass, and tools that have already shown how important and valuable they are. In drafting and in the design of the action, we paid particular attention to make the link to the agenda clear, so that project beneficiaries, when applying, can have a further reflection on that and put forward those elements of their projects which will contribute to the process and to the agenda. What's also important for me is that all these tools and instruments manage to reach out not only to well-established youth workers who have been in the field for a while and, which have been contributing and continue to do so, but also to a new generation of youth workers who maybe have the opportunity to familiarize with the youth work sector during a volunteering experience with a youth work organization, and they are now ready to step in and contribute and bring their new fresh eyes and innovative ideas and contribute to the discussion. I also think that the program can contribute to ensure a strong role for youth work in the new normal, which is another of the objective of the agenda, by equipping youth workers with all these new skills and helping them to be flexible and adaptable to new challenges. I think our programs have shown already, have proven already their ability to adapt to new challenges and to be flexible. They did it already a few years ago during when we had, unfortunately, episodes of violent extremism and radicalization. They did it during the migration crisis, and this year they also gave this proof of adaptability and flexibility during the pandemic. So we hope that within the new generation of youth programs, youth work will find possibilities to address relevant new societal challenges. At the end of the day, our program stretch from local, tiny, youth-led projects to huge cooperation projects which can run during several years. So there is basically a bit for everyone. There is an opportunity there is space for every level of engagement and of experience. So I can just encourage all the delegates in this convention to look into the programs and to explore in the different workshops also how they can make of the programs a powerful tool to contribute to the agenda.
Thank you, Silvia, very much for your answer. And next, I would pass the question to Violeta and would like to listen to your answer.
Yes, I think that Silvia has already very well summarized that, and we also tried to tackle this question through our presentation. Hopefully we did it. Just to add what Silvia said, I think that the programs have this ambition to support the ability of youth work to tackle these emerging challenges and innovate its practices. So we have to make sure that through community, through offering a space for exchange, for contributing and building and strengthening the capacity, the community, that we can have all these sectors together also, not only youth work sector, but also other sectors, and to find the space for exchanges, to meet the others across borders, across the sectors. And we hope that with the programs, we're able to create the space for these exchanges and enhance the promotion and recognition of youth work. So that's our ambition. And just to summarize, in fact, youth work is all across the programs. Without the youth workers, without what you are doing on the grassroots level, on the ground, this wouldn't be possible. So we work in cooperation, and we hope to continue, and we hope that we're going to have a very fruitful discussions also in future, and fruitful cooperation, and the programs will strive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I will pass the question to Matthew. Do we see you now? Let's have a look. Yes, no? Yes, Marco?
Yes, no. Yes and no, the typical situation.
Do we have Matthew here as well? No, he's not there. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much for the input you all gave, for your answers.
And thank you to all of you in front of the screens for watching this session. Thank you very much.